to do that, then I'm all for it. I don't want it to replace classic controls. I want it to be something that exists alongside classic controls, you know?
Yeah, because we just had like a game, Grand Blue, kind of like mimic that in a little, well, not mimic, excuse me, but there's a similar thing when it comes to, there's a way that you can like have easy input for supers and things like that, and there's a penalty for it, and like you said, it is a different way that you think about the game.
Uriel Velorio as another opponent. I imagine that at this point you've played most of the players that you can bump into in any of our brackets, right?
Yeah, I have.
Is there a player that gives you like a particular amount of trouble when you bump into them?
It's weird. If I do have a player like that, I always want to fight them again, right? I want to see if I can figure out what they're doing, you know? Like, for example, Uriel plays Ken, and I've played 1,000 Kens 1,000 times, sure. But, like, every Ken, there's something slightly different about each one.
Sure. So you're like, oh, I want to figure out what makes you tick. You want to take it past the point of the character matchup and be like, I want to know the player.
Yeah, exactly. Like, learning matchups for characters is one thing, right? And it's actually why I'm always a little, I'm always a little hesitant to join discussions when it comes to, like, character balance and stuff. Because I'm like, well, sure, a character has a good tool, a character has a good thing, but, like, what did you do in response to it? How did your opponent respond to it, you know? Do you have an answer? And what was your answer? Did you try something different? Like, there's so many subtle little things that go into it because I think about the person, the psychology of the player, you know?
Sure. So it almost feels like, did you ever watch the old Juicebox Evil episode where he or video where he breaks down like how to approach neutral and footsies?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's not dissimilar. For anyone who's listening and hasn't seen it, it's basically like a Street Fighter 4 era like footsies tutorial or how to break down a character matchup. And it's not dissimilar to what 40 just said here of like when you figure out a situation that you don't know the answer and then just find what interactions there are and figure them out. And sometimes you find out that there's weird esoteric interactions that you wouldn't have considered that can turn a situation entirely on its head.
And you have to constantly be in those situations, right? You have to be looking for answers. And I know it's easy to bitch, right? It's very easy to bitch. But you have to ask yourself sometimes, is someone bitching to bitch because it makes them feel better? Or is someone bitching because, you know, they're at a genuine loss and don't know what to do, right? Am I in a position where I'm looking for an answer, or am I in a position where I'm just angry at a character for having something, you know?
Sure. Like, have I done the due diligence to show that it is not my lack of trying at this point?
Mm-hmm. Like, have I done my best, you know? Have I done my best? If you can answer honestly with that question like that, then it's fine. Yep.
How did you happen upon, like, this approach? Because you have this, you're talking through, like, this really systemic and understanding approach of fighting games of, like, you know, accept what you're, you know, acknowledge what you're working on, accept what you're not working on, be honest with where you're, you know, sitting, and set goals and do something actionable for them. How did you end up in a place where that's how you approach playing fighting games? Are you like that in sort of your everyday life for other hobbies or for work?
So I never understood why the majority of people are the way they are when it comes to fighting games, right? Because in my mind, there was always someone to beat. When I was getting into competitive fighting games, I had someone at my local that I was always like, how do I beat this player, right? How do I beat this guy? And I would ask myself, is it his character? Is it something he's doing? Like, what is it? What am I losing to, right? And I would never get to the point where that mindset was detrimental because like I never gave up in trying to figure that question out, you know?
Sure.
Because I didn't want to give up. To me, complaining about something without looking for an answer was akin to giving up. And I had a very I don't want to lose mindset. And I don't mean that in like the, you know, what you would expect of, oh man, I hate losing and it feels bad to lose and fucking life sucks and everything's bad and God is dead and all this other shit. Like,
okay, that's a lot.
You know, people get like that. Like,
you have a real survivalist like outlook on it. It's like, yo, like,
right.
I don't want to be the loser. Like, just as much as the guy wants to like win, you know. There's nothing wrong with that, and like. And people have misconstrued that like it's weird or awkward to want to be like the winner, and like or it's, you know, like, or people have used the I don't want to lose motivation as like as a scapegoat for like people to feel bad for them, which is stupid too. Like I think that's a poor way to like use that motivation. I think what you're doing is a fantastic motivator. It's like, yo,
yeah, because you're really using like I'm trying to win as a self-improvement type thing.
Yeah, it's the way people use it in combat sports. They don't want to get knocked out or die, so they defend themselves. You know, it's like it's just a natural way of thinking about it.
No, and then like a step further as well, right? It's for a lot of people, I think the negative of, oh well, I don't want to lose is that people try to take shortcuts. Yeah. Or it's like, if your motivation is to not lose, just to not lose, you're in a position to make mistakes. You have to accept that you're trying to grow and develop so that you cannot lose. Yeah, and I think being able to recognize that is the important thing that a lot of people miss.
Yeah. Because like, I'll be the first one to admit, my records are not clean. You know, I have these really messy, like 50-50 records, or on a good day, I have like a 66-33 record, right? I'm not performing to the same level